Eleanor, you've been telling me all about your early days here in Cupertino. And first this was Cupertino, then Mountain View, and now Sunnyvale, and you're still on the same land.
Oh, yes.
That's about 59 years ago, I understand. If Bill's 62 and he was 3 when you came here, it would be about 59 years ago.
I forget what. Now that was an angle I hadn't thought of. I was trying to think more of O'Connor's, you know, when I was in training. I wasn't thinking about this other.
All right. Now, what are some of the early memories you have of the Santa Clara Valley when you first came here from Grass Valley?
Well, I don't know. I didn't think much of Well, the climate to me was so different because up there they had so much fog here. And the first year I was here, it rained, it seemed like incessantly it was raining. And I nearly froze to death when I was at the convent. And then when I went to the hospital, I told them, I said, all the religious institutions, they sure freeze you to death. So,
was that when you first entered nursing?
well, I was at convent for 3 years.
3 years.
And then I went into, in 1918, I went into the nursing.
And what are some of your early memories, Eleanor, of the nursing profession? You expressed to me your great love of nursing always.
Yes, I've always enjoyed the nursing. And of course we were just, you know, you had to put in a training of 3 months before you got your cap. You were called probe then. You probably wants to get busy here.
Oh, they're taping.
Oh, are they?
Yes. we're rolling.
We're on the works.
Right. And what is your earliest memory in nursing about some of the doctors?
Well, most of the doctors in the whole were really very nice. We had a couple that they used to swear at you and everything else. But you just let it go in one ear and out the other. But I enjoyed the nursing and the different floors. And all the nuns there, excepting one, I didn't care much for her, although she knew her business. She was in the office. I don't know whether you knew the nuns in O'Connor's or not, did you?
Some I did, yes. I remember some of them with the big coronets.
Yes. And you know, now this new one doesn't seem like, of course I've never been around there, you know. I never nursed there or anything. And I don't know the hospital. And then when I seen the nuns, they didn't look right either because they didn't have on these bonnets, you know.
Yes.
That kind of distinguish them.
Yes. I see you have your pins on, your nursing pins.
Yeah, that's what I wore them today. I wanted to show them off. And I wondered if they had changed over the years. Do you know?
I don't know. This one says the Sisters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul, San Jose, California. And I think they probably would have changed since they're now called the Daughters of Charity, but I don't know.
Well, they always were called that too, even when we were in training. But maybe they have a different.
And this is your other pin.
This is my class pin.
It says 1921 and you
Well, that's when
graduated.
I was supposed to graduate. But I had all that time to make up. And one of the doctors when I was filling in my time in 1922, he called out, "Miss Butler, what are you doing here? I passed you last year. What are you still hanging around here for?" And I said, "Well, I have 6 months to make up, and they wouldn't let me sneak out, so I'm still around."
And how about the dorms? How were the dorms that you lived in the old O'Connors?
Oh, Oh, well, we had rooms. We all had rooms. And there were very few rooms that you didn't have to have a roommate. And they were nice, spacious rooms. And there was, we each had our own bed, single bed, in the room. I had a roommate when I first went there, but later on, I got a room by myself, which I was happy about. Because some of them like to read at night till all hours, and I'd want to go to sleep. Because I've been working hard, you know, and I figured, well...
You weren't a night owl then?
No, I never was a night owl.
And I understand they had some terrific food there, and you have a great love of curry.
Yeah. You can have your old curry. I think it wouldn't have been so bad if they hadn't put so much in.
Mm-hmm. They served that quite frequently, didn't they?
Oh, they served that frequently, and then you go to the refectory, they used to call it that. Why, you push the door, and in one smell of that, you thought, I don't think I want any lunch. But we had to eat, so you went in and you was kind of picky because you just took what you wanted and that was that. But that old curry and rice has got to be an old story. I'm not a lover of rice anyhow. I'm a very poor Chinaman.
And the operating room, do you have any memories of the operating room and the doctors in there? Did they ever get angry at the nurses in the operating room?
Oh yeah, we had one doctor. He was terrible. He used to cuss at everybody. And then one time we had a couple of head nurses, and they were from what's the big shop? Hospital back east. They were from Mayo Brothers. These
Mayo
nurses.
Clinic.
And they got to cussing them and telling them off. And they left off and left him. Everybody left him but me. And Sister said to me, everybody left him standing there, and but you. And why didn't you leave? I said, I was pupil nurse, and besides, I said, he could swear at me all he wanted to. I said, it didn't bother me any. I said, I felt like telling him to go, you know where.
Was he the one that used to throw the instruments?
Yeah, he'd throw the instruments around, he'd bang anybody who thought he'd get away with it. Nobody banged me around. That's all this for.
Okay, we're going to stop for a second.
Oh, I thought we were finished.
No.
You're just going great.
This is just fantastic.
Don't look over there all the time, though. Either look at me or look at Diane, because you're peering off their face in the front. You got your hair all done and you
Yeah,
look
this
nice.
is the best part
Oh,
of
is
it.
that
In 1925.
1925.
Yeah.
How did you meet your husband? Was he from San Jose?
No, he was from Sunnyvale. I met him, one of the gals that trained when I did, her name is Gladys Berry, and she was from Sunnyvale. And she used to invite me, we'd have the day off on Sunday, or part of the day is what it was. And she'd say, well, I'm going out to my folks, would you like to come along? We had to catch the bus to go out there. But we catch the bus and we'd go out, and we'd spend the day and the evening, and we had to be back by 10 o'clock for sure. We would get back, and sometimes maybe my would-be husband come over there because he knew the Berries very well. This gal's brother and my husband were great pals. They used to pal around and work together. so I met her through this Gladys Berry. He'd come out. And then later on, how I happened to meet was my brother and sister and we'd gone over to Gladys's, and we were all going to go to Horns. There was a dance hall in San Jose. This is while I was in training. And she says, well, I was going to tell you, must be a lie. Oh, and she says, well, she says, he called up and he says, Gladys, the gal I was going to go out with, she ditched me. Do you know anybody I could call? He said, I want to go to this dance and I don't want to go just by myself. Oh, she said, come on over. She's here now. So I went over there, and so it happened to be me. And then after that, well, we'd go together every once in a while. We spent time together, and then later, he asked me to marry him, and that was that.
That was that. And where did Amanda and Miles come from before they came to San Jose?
Well, Amanda was from, I don't know where Miles was from. I think I read someplace where he was an immigrant, and he must have come from Ireland with the name of OConnor, I imagine. But Auntie O'Connor originally was from Ohio.
Ohio. And then they moved to Grass Valley?
Oh, yes. My grandfather and grandmother, they were from Ohio. Her name was Fawcett. My grandmother's name was, she was Rebecca Fawcett. And Uncle O'Connor, or my grandfather, Jonathan Butler, he came out. They came from around the Horn after they were married. In 1852, they were married. And then right after they were married, they came to California by the way of around the Horn.
Isn't that something? Quite a ride. And when Miles and Amanda came to San Jose, was there a little controversy in Grass Valley? Because they left up there, and that's where they made their money, wasn't it?
Yes.
And what did the people in Grass Valley think of that?
They didn't like it. They figured that he made his money there, he should stay there and spend it.
And then Miles came on here because...
No, they both came. They were married and they came down here. And then they went to this house on 3rd Street. They had a home there first.
They had a home before they...
Yeah, before they decided to build a sanitarium. But they thought it'd be nice to have a home for the aged. In fact, there was several of those same, and I took care of some of those people that were homers there that had bought their homes into the sanitarium while it was still, had been before it was made into a regular hospital. But they needed a hospital so badly that they wished them to switch over and become a regular hospital instead of just a home for the aged.
Did the people that have their homes there, were they allowed to stay there?
Oh, yes. Yes, there was this one old gentleman, his name was Regan, and he used to always be running out of sugar. I don't know, maybe Jane's told you this yarn before. She said, well, And Sister Teresa, who was in charge of the nurses on the men's floor, she said, "You make sure that Mr. Regan's sugar bowl is filled up, or he'll be sending you back to get some sugar." So it seemed like every few days we were filling that sugar bowl, almost a pretty good sized sugar bowl. So I thought to myself, I can't imagine what in the name of sense he does with all that sugar. Then I caught him one day. As I was going out to go uptown, here was Mr. Regan. He had his, had a whole bunch of sugar. And he'd get out there and he'd begin calling, come baby, and those horses that was right across, there were several horses, there must have been there 15 or 20 horses. It was an open lot. And he'd call baby and they'd all come on the run. They'd been treated before, so they knew what he had.
He was giving sugar to all the horses.
Yeah, that was where the sugar was disappearing too. But I never told on him. I thought, well, that was cute, you know, to think that he was feeding those horses and getting a kick out of it.
Yeah, that is a cute story. Now, Judge O'Connor became blind, didn't he?
Yes, I don't know when he became blind. I know he was blind when he died, and that was in 1909. But I don't know much about him. I never knew him.
He had that rope outside, didn't he? He had a rope put outside for him to help him.
Well, he had this long, I don't know any place else that he had the ropes, or whether he walked with a cane to get over there, or maybe he had somebody to guide him over to this house. I don't really know that part.
So we had a rope to guide him over to the house from the sanitarium then.
Well, that I don't know.
And,
But he had in this main building, you know, where he used to walk and hang on to the rope.
oh, we had a rope in the main building,
No,
No?
this was a separate,
separate
it
building.
was a long shed. It was up against that San Carlos fence. And it was a long shed, I don't know. I bet after he walked so far, that was a mile. I don't know, that's my idea.
And then you helped take care of Amanda O'Connor in her last years, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I took care of her from 1923 to 1926, before Bill was born in 1926.
And did she maintain all of her faculties, or did she know?
No, she didn't know who anybody was. Probably was a good thing, because she wasn't the easiest person in the world to get along with, if you know what I mean. And, but she was very docile in her older part of her life, you know. She had nurses around the clock.
And you actually stayed up
But
with her
I
all
was-
night, didn't you?
Oh, yes. But see, I was on 12-hour duty. Then later, why, she had nurses day and night. I think they all worked 12 hours then, 12-hour shifts. So one would be on from 6 to 8 or whatever it was, I forgot.
They sure wouldn't want to work 12 hours today, would they?
Oh, no, they'd have to fit now.
And Amanda had a separate little area of the hospital that she actually lived in, didn't she?
Yes, she had this bedroom that she was in most of the time when I knew her. She just seemed to stay there. And then she did have, right next to it, she had this dining area. And she used to entertain, you know, she had a maid. And if she had company, why, she'd have the hospital serve them oftentimes. Or the maid would cook and serve and then bring the food instead of going down, because Auntie O'Connor oftentimes wasn't able to go up and down the stairs. She was when I first knew her. but later on why she got so bad that she had to.
And I've heard she's had as many as 3 bedrooms in that far end of the hospital where she lived.
Oh, yes. She had, and then too, she had an added one when my brother came. They didn't have any place to put poor old Jack, so they had to fix him up in one of the spare parlors. He had his bedroom in there.
So she had her whole home in a wing of the old hospital then.
Yes.
Isn't that
I
interesting?
imagine though, they paid for it. The O'Connors paid for it.
Well, Eleanor, it's been so charming talking with you today. You're a very charismatic lady and charming lady with a great sense of humor.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, and we've had a wonderful time visiting here in Amanda O'Connor's grandniece's home, Eleanor Reid Butler. She lives right next door in her own home to her son, Bill Reid, and her daughter-in-law, Jane Reid. Thank you very much.
I think you got it twisted, didn't you?
Yeah,
I mean,
Eleanor Reid Butler is Eleanor Butler Reid.
Well,
Nobody's gonna look at
Don't
that.
catch that. See, we don't, this is one thing, we don't
Well,
have any way.
there's so much information. It's just so hard to get all the good stuff in. You know, it just, when Mom remembers all these things, it's just so fascinating, all the fun stuff and how the area was, because, you know, like you mentioned Race Street, you know, we always think of O'Connor being on San Carlos or something, you know, but gee, Race Street's over a little bit farther, and all these streets, how they've changed and the area's changed, and it's just fascinating.
Well, San Carlos run one day,
Yeah.
and then in front of
Meridian,
it was the
Yeah, and I forget what the street is behind or how far back they went
Moore
on it.
Park.
Moore Park, it was
Moore
quite,
Park,
quite,
right,
yeah, quite a ways
Yeah.
back then,
And
yeah.
you see, there was quite an acreage there,
Yeah.
but how many, I don't know.
was quite-
And they had,
I was
they
glad
had-
you mentioned the homers too, because we hadn't talked about that. The people who bought in were called homers,
yeah, that
in
was
the
it.
original thing, yeah.
And they had apricots, and in fact, they had a pest house on the property. But they had to finally, I guess they don't know whether they come to their senses or not. But I had the smallpox from that too.